Oh, I broke it. F***ing dog. Bummer. Face. Hello, my grain girlies. It's Carla, and I'm here again in my kitchen today for a delicious dinner for two from where cooking begins. This is fried grains with bacon, mushrooms, and kimchi. I'm gonna go through my pasta cooking method for cooking grains, so it doesn't matter what kind of whole grain you find in the cupboard, you will know how to cook them, make them perfectly chewy and delicious without having any memorization of any recipe going on. And then after that, I'm gonna fry them up with some bacon, which is delicious, some mushrooms that got nice and crispy, and then kimchi, because I just love kimchi so much. It's very fast, it's very delicious, and it's very easy. Before you can fry your grains, you have to cook your grains. And if you are someone who likes to think about the dinners to come during the week, on the weekend, this is one of just the fastest one pot, easy things to get out of the way. And then when it's time to make lunch or dinner, you have your cooked grains. So what I have here is a pot of boiling water. I'm gonna salt it, you know, generously, not crazy. And the whole point of the pasta cooking method for grains is that you just have a generous amount of salted boiling water, and then you can cook whatever quantity of grains you want to. So there's no figuring out of how many cups of grains go for how many cups of water. We're just gonna cook it in salted boiling water until it's done. When I went rooting around in my cabinet, I found this gorgeous purple barley, which is delicious. I prefer, and what I usually buy is whole grains that have the hull intact. Keep in mind that pearled grains cook faster than ones that have their hull intact. These grains took about 45 minutes. What I'm looking for is for them to be plumped, al dente, chewy without being chalky in the center. And then from here, drain them, and I'm just gonna spread them out on a rim baking sheet to cool. You can definitely use them warm, in which case I would just leave them in the colander. But if I'm cooking them ahead and I wanna pack them up, I wanna do that and just let the steam come off of them, let them cool down. This is a 10-inch skillet. It's over medium heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil just to get the bacon started. So for my vegetarian friends and my vegans as well, you can go straight to the mushroom part of the recipe and just increase the amount of oil. This is like thick cut bacon that I cut into like 1-inch pieces. You could definitely use a different pork product like guanciale or pancetta, or you could also use like a little bit of a leftover pork chop that you have in the fridge and just cut the meat into smaller pieces and fry that up. A fried grain dish like this is a great opportunity to kind of do a little fridge rummage and figure out what you have. And I'm looking for crisp chewy on those, so that's gonna take, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes. For the mushrooms, I've got my takis, which are some of my favorites, and little shiitakes as well. And I'm not even using a knife. I'm just gonna break these, tear them. You could do this with creminis, you could do this with enokis, you could do this with literally any mushroom. So for the kimchi, because I want the kimchi juice as well, I used to like scoop out a cup and then put it on the cutting board and then chop it there, and then I would have liquid all over my cutting board and it was hard to scoop it up and save the liquid. So now I just go in with a pair of kitchen shears right into the jar, and it depends how much you chop it. Just kind of depends on how you like it and what brand you're using. If you really can't find kimchi, substitute with sauerkraut, which is also lacto-fermented. It's also cabbage, and then you could just supplement with some chili flake to replace the spiciness of the kimchi. All right, so bacon's done. The mushrooms are going straight into these nice bacony, oily drippings, and I'm gonna cook them together because they're around the same size. And you need to make sure, actually, when you toss to coat, that there is enough in there to coat them. If a mushroom isn't coated with oil and you just keep cooking it, it's gonna just get tough and dry. There's a lot of mushroom controversy about when to season, beginning, end, middle. As soon as mine are coated with oil, I like to season them, and they always come out really brown and lovely, and that method has worked for me for over 20 years. All right, these are looking fantastic and beautiful. I didn't stir them while they were taking on color. And now that they have beautiful color on the side that was down, they can get tossed to finish cooking, but they're really basically there. Love a crispy brown mushroom. Now that these are done, I'm going to also remove them. So in this recipe, I'm cooking everything separately and they will come back together again. But the beauty of that is that everybody is getting their little special individual attention in the skillet, being cooked to their ultimate optimal state, instead of putting bacon and mushrooms in a pan and expecting everybody to come out crisp and brown at the exact same moment. These cooking processes are short and it's worth it. And so now right into the same hot, there's still some residual oil, but I'm gonna add a bit more and the grains are gonna go straight in. All right, so right away, these are crisping and crackling. You might even see your grains pop open a bit, which is fun and cute. I'm gonna season them. The other thing that I wanna just be careful of is I wanna cook these until they have light golden color and they crisped, but especially if you're using a grain that isn't pearled and has that outer hull intact, if you overcook them, instead of just getting incredibly crispy, at a certain point they turn the corner and they just go to like really tough and unpleasantly chewy. What I want to find is like crisp, heated all the way through and seasoned nicely. So now everybody can jump back in. Put in, eyeballing about a cup of kimchi. And if you haven't noticed by now, this dish definitely has big bibimbap energy. I'm gonna briefly cook the kimchi without a lot of liquid until it's heated through and I start to see some browning on the pan. The moisture of the kimchi is also helping to deglaze, so I did have some brown bits there from the bacon and from the mushrooms. I have hot, delicious kimchi, beautiful grains. I can hear some little crackling and snappling, and now I'm going to add some of this kimchi liquid and just use that to stir up more stickiness from the bottom of the pan. Once that's cooked off, and that took maybe 30 seconds, all of our other friends are going in. Our bacon friends, our mushroom friends, and any juices that accumulate on the plate wherever they were sitting, you want to add those as well. I'm killing the heat. And I've got some nice cilantro that I'm gonna add. I'm gonna save a little bit for topping afterwards, but you could roughly chop or you could just roughly chop it with your hands. And I'm using the stems as well because they're delicious and crunchy and they have great flavor. If you wanted to, this mixture can go straight into your dinner bowls and you can eat this exactly the way it is. This would also be a very delicious side dish. I'm gonna put an egg on it. And in the same exact pan, I'm gonna fry the egg. My pan had a little schmutz on it, so I ended up giving it a quick rinse and I wiped it out just so that there's not a lot in the bottom of the pan for the eggs to stick to. It's still hot. I'm adding a bit of oil and I'm being a little bit generous with the oil because it is a 10-inch skillet, so the eggs are gonna like have a lot of room to spread out, so I just wanna make sure it's evenly coated. I'm going for like a nice sunny side up, runny. I think a poached egg would be really nice on this. Also, if you do like an onsen egg, that's like the ramen egg, that would be really great as well. The recipe in the book doesn't say to do this, but I'm gonna put a little gochugaru on top since there's that spices in the kimchi. It'll look pretty, and I have it. All right, as soon as these are set around the edges and crispy, they're 90% of the way there. My only goal at this point is to make sure that they're not sticking. So we did the snowplow method for the crispy grilled salmon, and I'm gonna do it again, which is where you turn the spatula over so that rather than going like this where you could end up cutting into your ingredient, you go snowplow, you angle underneath, and it's a safer way. Oh, cool, nothing to see here. We're just gonna top these beautiful fried grains and release. Everything I do is perfect. This is what the fried grain bowls look like when they're done. They're gorgeous and excellent. I'm gonna finish them off with just a little bit of sesame oil. I'm gonna add a little more cilantro. Great dinner, great savory breakfast. And I got my yolk, making a delicious sauce, and I have my kimchi bite, and I have a shiitake cap, and there's grains, of course. I often mention texture. It is just crazy how far texture can take you in a dish. When I bite into this and I've got that like meaty bite of the bacon and I've got the crunch of the kimchi and then you've got this crispy egg and you have your chewy grains, it's like, yes, the flavors are delicious, but the textures make it really fun to eat and make it something just really special. I really love this dish. Very humble beginnings with a really great payoff.